There's a really promising differential with a big upside and nobody's talking about him. He's got 0% ownership in the top 100,000. I bet you can't guess who it is. I'll reveal it during the video. I'm also going to share with you a reliable source of where to get all the leaked team news in one place before the deadline. And I'm going to show you how to plan ahead so you can adapt to the team news as soon as possible so the servers don't crash before you get your transfers in. Building from the back, I'm actually starting Kepa over Steele this game week. He faces Newcastle at Stamford Bridge. That's while Steele has to travel away to Villa Park. There are a few reasons why I've done this. Chelsea can pivot in the table, but Brighton are stuck where they are. They can't move up or down, so they're fully on the beach. Yeah, Chelsea face Newcastle, who can move in the table, but Brighton face Villa, and Villa are competing for Europe, and they've not yet secured a place. Another thing is, Chelsea have got the home advantage, and if you consider all of these factors, that results in Chelsea having higher clean sheet odds by 5%. Believe it or not, Everton have got the highest clean sheet odds this game week. On the off chance that both Kepa and Steele are sidelined, I'd bring in Pickford, and that's my suggestion if you need to bring in a goalkeeper. In defence, I'm hoping to start Shaw against Fulham at home. I've also got Trippier against Chelsea away and Trent against Southampton away. Then on the bench, first up is Diaz against Brentford away and Botman against Chelsea away. First of all, it looks like Shaw's not going to play and Diaz might not play either. If I can't have 3 starting defenders when the early team news comes out, then I will have to make a transfer. If that's the case, I would bring in another Everton player, that would be Tarkowski. That's obviously because of the clean sheet odds. When I look at the other attacking defenders, I don't really think there's anyone who compensates for those clean sheet odds being much higher. Despite Newcastle's clean sheet odds being 3% lower than City's, I am starting Trippier over Diaz. That's because I think his attacking ability does compensate for the probability of a clean sheet. I'd say this about Trent compared to the Everton defenders as well. I think he's the best defender to own this game week, then I'd put the Everton defenders second. As for Botman, I really hope he doesn't have to step in because Newcastle's clean sheet odds are really low and he's not got much attacking threat. But if I can start 3 defenders and he's included, I don't mind. I won't be making that transfer to optimise that defender. I'll be making them in attack because I think there's a high ceiling there. Moving on to midfield, I've got the popular Brighton midfield double up of Mitoma and McAllister against Villa away. Then I've also got Salah against Southampton away. Then the United double up of Rashford and Bruno against Fulham at home. If we don't get any team news or we find out that either of the Brighton midfielders aren't starting, I bring in the ultra differential that I mentioned at the start of the video. You'll never guess who it is. It's actually another Everton player. It's Demarai Gray. Hear me out. Whilst he's listed as a midfielder in the game, it's likely that he'll start, and if he does start, it's likely that he'll play up front. He'd be an out-of-position midfielder. That's due to Calvert-Lewin being injured, and another perk of that is that he'd be on penalty duties. I know that because Everton have been awarded 3 penalties this season. Demarai Gray has took and scored 2 of them. The other one was Calvert-Lewin, and like I said, he's not going to play. If you look at FPL review, his anytime goal scorer odds are 37%, his anytime assist odds are 27%. If you combine both of those figures together, you get anytime return odds of 54%. Another thing to consider is something I mentioned earlier. Everton's got the highest chance of a clean sheet, which is 41% chance of getting a clean sheet point. Not bad for someone who's playing as a striker position, plus he gets 5 points for a goal instead of 4. If you look at the points projections, based on the assumption that each player plays 90 minutes, Gray has got the same points projection as Eze, which is 6, and Eze is the most transferred in player in FPL this whole game week. To put that into perspective, Bruno's got the exact same projected points as Gray. Kane's only 0.2 higher on 6.2 against Leeds away. The reason Everton players are so appealing this game week is because they have to win, they're fighting against relegation, and they're up against Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth have nothing to play for. If you put all that information into perspective, 5.1 mil for Gray out of position as a midfielder with 0% ownership in the top 100,000. What a bargain. I think Salah's the best captaincy option this game week, so there won't be a best captain video. If you want a good differential, I don't think Haaland will be differential, especially if we know he's starting, but I don't think a lot of people would captain Rashford. He's my favourite differential captain. Then after that, I'd go for Kane. If we got a confirmation that either Salah, Rashford or Bruno didn't start, I would go slightly more expensive than Gray because I think Gakpo's a better option if he's confirmed to start. If not, I'd still fall back on Gray. He's my second favourite option to bring in. Up front, I've got Isak against Chelsea away, Haaland against Brentford away, then the last player on the bench, my 15th man, is Greenwood against Spurs at home. I know Leeds are fighting to survive relegation, but they've got a 90% chance of going down, plus they're facing Spurs who are competing for a European spot. The main condition as well is that Greenwood probably won't start, and if he does, he'll probably not even play 90 minutes. If we do get confirmation that he starts, he'll just be the first player on the bench. If we get confirmation that Haaland's not starting, I go straight for Kane. They've got something to play for and they face Leeds away, but I do like Jesus as a differential. As for Isak, if we get a confirmation he's not starting, I will go for Watkins, who faces Brighton at home. Villa are playing for a European spot. That's whilst Brighton have got nothing to play for. They can't even move in the league position. I've created a Twitter list with all the reliable accounts that leak FPL team news, so you don't have to flick through tabs for different sources and you can get it all immediately. If you want to get an edge of over 90% of the FPL community, make sure you follow my Twitter list. The leaked team news typically comes out 15 minutes before kickoff, so you've got to be quite quick. My advice is to do exactly what I've done, is to go through each player, and if one's sidelined, have a backup option so you can put them straight in your team. If you can, try to use 2 screens, one for the leaked team news, one for your FPL team. Before any leaked team news can possibly come out, make sure you've got the tab open on your other screen so you can put your transfers in and submit them as soon as possible. There is a high chance that the FPL servers will crash a few minutes after the leaked team news, like they've done in the past. But if you follow this strategy, you shouldn't really have a problem. You'd already have the tab open, then you've got 11 backup players depending on which player's sidelined. Personally, I've got 2 free transfers, so I'll be creating another list depending on if 2 players are sidelined, then another list after that if it's worth taking a hit if we've got 3 sidelined. Obviously, if you've got 2 or 3 players sidelined, that's a lot of different combinations of replacements, so I think it'll take a lot of time to set up, but I think it'll be worth it. You don't want to leave it till the last minute to choose between multiple combinations, especially when the servers could crash, but I don't think 15 minutes is even enough to get it right. You also need to decide ahead of time whether it's worth taking a hit depending on each scenario. I'll be working hard in the next 11 weeks to try and speed up the production of these videos so I can try and publish more videos for you next season. I've got plenty of ideas. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any of them. Enjoy the summer and I'll see you here again next season.